Thursday, October the 23rd. I was up at Lake of the Ozarks most of the end of last week and the weekend, but I've got to fish here, a couple days since I've been back. Lake level about 916 and a half. Water temperature, it depends where you're at. Yesterday I was up in the upper White River. Today I fished the mid-lake area, Kimberling City, Joe Ball towards Indian Point. But up in the upper White River, I found the water temperature as low as 61, 62 degrees. On the main lake, it's still right at about 70. But it seems like if I went further back into creeks, and especially any place that had water coming in, like some of the major creeks, and the shallower I got, the cooler the water was. And I did find a lot of bait up in those areas, and I caught a lot of fish up in there on square bills and spinner baits. Didn't catch a lot of keepers, but I did, have a lot of action back there. I think I either just didn't get around to bigger bites, or they're coming as the water cools down. But what I was throwing for spinner bait, it's a 3/8 ounce Spro. It's called a thumper blade. It's got a little Colorado and Indiana blade, chartreuse and white. Now, if you can't find one of these, another good spinnerbait to throw, this is a War Eagle. It's a 5/16, kind of the same blade setup. It'll work real well. A lot of the crankbaits I was throwing was either a 1.5 Strike King, or this is a Spro Fat Papa. No, it's a Hunter 65 and a Citrus Shad. This 1.5 was Perch Keller, and I was also throwing a 2.5 KVD 2.5 Sexy Shad. And it seemed like in that shallow water, any place where there was a rock change, or if I could see a lay down or a piece of wood out on a flat, it would have a fish on it. And I did catch a few keepers up there, but like I said, the majority of the fish I caught up there were 12 to 14 inches, but it was fun. There was a lot of bites. And today we mainly fished deep. The guys I had wanted to learn how to drop shot, and they wanted to know what everybody was always doing out in the middle of the lake, how they were catching fish out there, because they said they'd been beating on the bank and not having very much success. So we went out, we started out with a football jig. There's been a little bit of a topwater bite, but it was so slick and still this morning, we actually didn't even mess with it. But a couple jigs I've been getting bit on. We've been getting bit on like a finesse style jig. This is a 5 fish lures, 9/16 ounce, green pumpkin orange with I don't know who makes this, twin turbo. That's a Missiles twin turbo trailer. But usually any kind of chompers, like Speed Craw will work for a trailer. And I've also been throwing a big jig too, and it seems like one works as good as the other. I'm throwing a 5/8 ounce or 3/4 ounce with a big Rage Craw for a trailer. Sometimes it seems like the smaller jig will get more bites, but we seem to get about the same amount of bites on either jig. And a lot of the jig fish were, you could see them on the sides of the points, on the roll-offs. You'd be setting in anywhere from 25 to 30 feet. I think a lot of the fish were 18 to 20 feet deep. And we caught a mixture of largemouths, smallmouths, and Kentuckies out off them points. It seemed like once that sun got up, the football jig bite wasn't as good, and we went to a drop shot. And we caught a lot of fish on a drop shot. We couldn't catch too many out of brush piles. It seemed like I went to a deep boat dock, and there were several fish suspended out in front of the cables on a boat dock. So then we started going to some bluff ends and channel swings that had deep timber. A lot of the times the timber would be in, it would be 50 to 80 foot deep, but the trees were coming up to about 30 foot. And every once in a while you'd scoot through there and you'd see just one tree that would be loaded up with fish, and you could catch 5, 6 fish without even moving the boat. Then it seemed like that school would disappear, and you'd have to run to another point, bluff end, and seemed like they were in them, isolated trees, suspended. For some reason, I think, couldn't catch them out of the conservation brush pile. Seemed like when that football jig died, so didn't the brush pile bite. And then the fish, for some reason, seemed like they suspended up in the water column. But we caught quite a few doing that. And I thought today was really a good day for this time of year. Usually September and October, some of the toughest fishing, especially when you have a bluebird day like what we had today, no wind. But like I say, most of the fish we caught dam lake today were out on the main lake. And it was either on channel swings or points where the channel came right up against them. And earlier where we caught the jig fish, we actually caught some of them out of the conservation piles. But like I said, once that sun got up real high, it seemed like we couldn't get those fish to bite. The fish came up and suspended, and that worked out better for us. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.